What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Sunday, happy first day of February, and happy start of the singularity. I think it's pretty much no preconception that last Friday there were many things that happened that converged into what could be, in the very near future, be considered as a historic day and a day when the quote unquote singularity kicked off. I've been reporting on this for a little while. I reported on the malt book phenomenon. Now, after 3 or 4 days, I think it's like over 1.5 million AI agents that joined that social media. They already did a lot of different types of stuff. They're making money. They have their own bank accounts. They have their own websites, and they're all talking amongst each other with humans only able to see what they're doing. They can't participate. And I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people that claim that that's not AGI, but it is a new behavior from AI that we didn't know was going to happen. So it is scary territory, I would say. I don't know what you guys think, but that's one. The other one is what Gerb did. We already named the names and all that. Thank you for taking the screenshots. Thank you for the comments, for the support. The other one is the Epstein Files. I already spoke about the darkest rabbit hole and how many topics of phenomenology were mentioned, at least until the day I recorded that, until the hour in which I recorded that, because there's a lot more stuff that has been taking place. One of them is an interview that Jeffrey Epstein did with Steve Bannon. And kudos to the Saturday Night Live people who depicted Bannon as death. That was funny.
But wait, where is my chief strategist, Steve Bannon? I can't start without Steve Bannon.
He's walking in right now.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay, Steve. You look great. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
But yeah, like it's like an interview where death meets the devil or something like that. There's a really ominous clip of Jeffrey Epstein when he's asked whether he's the devil or not. And he says, I got a good mirror. And there's a lot in that interview that I think you guys should see, especially the final third of the interview. They start talking about edge science and physics and gravity. And you can tell that he was very interested in those topics as well. And this is a great glimpse into what the elites think about these topics. It's not that they don't care about it or they're not interested. They are. Everybody's interested in these topics, but it's in their interest to keep it stigmatized. It's in their interest to keep it secret, because who knows what they're doing behind closed doors. I mean, we got a little glimpse with those files already, but I'm sure there's just a lot more that we don't know about and that we're going to keep finding about also. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to that full interview so you guys can check it out. But one of the most curious aspects is a couple of things that I saw. And I'm just going to preface this by saying that a lot of the stuff that is dropped in the files, there's a lot that is just like references or brief mentions or information taken from blogs that doesn't have any confirmation. But the fact that it's part of the drop and the fact that it is mentioned, there are many things mentioned there that are part of the ufology lore, that is newsworthy in itself. Although not all of it may be true. I think that there's a lot of stuff there that is just included there, but is not corroborated. So keep that in mind, please. The first thing is this. There was a mention of the alleged families that are linked to the Illuminati. Yeah, you heard it right. So here's the first image. And it says Illuminati families and their associates. And you can see it's an email, Matt of CC, I don't know what that is. Date September the 5th, 2008 at 1500 hours. And you got the Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins bloodline, the DuPont bloodline, the Freeman bloodline, the Kennedy bloodline, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis bloodline, the Reynolds bloodline, the Rockefeller bloodline, the Rothschild bloodline, the Russell bloodline, the Van Doyne bloodline, the Merovingian bloodline, the Mormon leadership, the Disney bloodline, the Krupp bloodline, the McDonald bloodline, the Council of the Foreign Relations, Illuminati, the Order of Illuminati Wise Men, Merovingios, Los Reyes Perdidos, Novus Ordo Mundi, Rockefeller Internationalism, The Biggest Secret Book, the Bilderberg Group, The Biological Basis of Elitism and Divine Right Rule, House of Rothschilds. Now listen to this. The Majestic Project, MJ12, the Illuminati formula to create an undetectable total mind control slave. What the hell? The Trilateral Commission. So pretty much every conspiracy theory name is in this list. But that's not the most important part of all, or the most interesting, because I think it was a couple years ago, James Iandoli from Engaging the Phenomenon had George Knapp and Dr. Colm Kelleher on the show. And he made very specific questions that you can see Kelleher was not happy about. And this is something that George Knapp has been trying to investigate, and is one of the names that is very sensitive, apparently. And I'm just going to show you this clip so you guys can see what I mean. You guys can see Dr. Colm Kelleher's reaction. And I'm going to show you an Epstein file drop email where there's a lot of detail into this. Apparently, Jeffrey Epstein may have been invited to this group. So let me show you. Here's James Iandoli from Engaging the Phenomenon interviewing both Dr. Colm Kelleher and George Knapp on his show. I'm going to leave a link in the description for this clip, which is James's, and for the entire interview, so you guys can check it out. So here it is.
You can tell me if they sound familiar. Free Griffith, Mary Elliott, TRW.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that
because I'm not saying anything. I'm not attaching a name to it. I'm just saying,
Well, I know where that is going, so I'm not at liberty to comment on that program.
Okay, but are you even able to say the name, or is it something where you can't even say the name of it?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that program, so I'm not. It's part of what I can't talk about.
George, can you tell me what I'm talking about?
No, not really. No.
You can't say the name?
I don't think I want to go there, not with Colin as part of the program, but we can talk about it off the air.
I'd love to do that if you can stay after a few minutes or even another time. But because that's of high interest. Does that have anything to do with David Grush coming out and anything that he discovered while he was doing his investigation for the UAP task force?
I think Dave did touch fist bumps with some of that information and some of those people. But you'd have to ask him that. He'd have to be the one to answer that.
So what James is asking about here is about a program named Zodiac, which they did not even want to mention, if you guys can notice. George Knapp mentions it later in the interview a little bit, and James does drop it a little bit later, and Colm is just not having it. So let me show you what they're talking about. Obviously, I mentioned in the first, the Illuminati page, that is just like a brief mention, the Majestic MJ12 group. That is the fabled group from the Majestic 12 documents that Dr. Stanton Friedman and Dr. Ryan and Dr. Robert Wood were able to investigate and corroborate a lot of it. And there's this idea that this group has existed since, and that it changed names over time. And one of the names that they used was Zodiac. And today they're saying that it's not 12 people anymore. They say that it's 27 people that allegedly are at the very top of the UFO secrecy And that name just appeared on the Epstein Files. So let me show you. Here it is. So I'm going to read it to you so you guys can see what's about. It's from Jeffrey to somebody who's redacted. Subject is Murray. And it says, just got a note from Bob Peary, who asked me if I thought Murray Gel man would make a good candidate for the Zodiac. As you know, it's one of those last secret type societies. The Zodiac is one of the really cool ones. There are 12 members at any one time, and it is still very secret. They do really cool stuff, but mostly since they are all very old, it's just dinners in exotic locations. I can't tell you all the 12 members because I don't know who they all are, but I know Paul Volcker is one. Some guy named Howdy, whose family owns Stuyvesant Town. Bob Peary, and I think Tom Brokaw. Bob represents Cancer, the sign, not the month. You are a member until your death, but if you get senile, they can put you into an eccentric orbit, quote unquote, and not invite you to meetings, etc. Anyway, the only way to get in is if someone dies. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. Anyway, let me know what you think. Finally leaving West Africa tonight. Finally. Let me know when you get your postcard. You will hopefully laugh a lot. Miss you. So yeah. And apparently Jeffrey is talking about this group, and it was at least in his mind. He was talking to other people about it. So that's as far as it goes. I'm not going to tell you that this is the same group because I don't know, but I found it really interesting that, yeah, I don't know if maybe Dick Cheney was part of this. Probably. It's possible. But those names mentioned are names that I didn't know even existed. So if you guys have any information on that that we can cross-reference, let me know. But what do you think about Majestic 12 and Zodiac appearing on the Epstein Files? If you guys want to do another search and you can find something and you can give me a tip about it, because it's just a lot of information, leave it in the comments or send it to my email. The email is in the channel's description. I will give you credit or promote anything you want, if you want, for whatever tips you can give me that we can mention in the channel, and just keep talking about this because there's a lot in there, and there's a lot that keeps coming out that, man, he had his hands everywhere. This dude, I would say, had a severe case of ADHD, a severe case of hyperfocus, and obviously he was an absolute piece of shit that, if I'm honest with you, I'm not sure he's dead, because he seems to have had power everywhere, and it just fits to a story from a Mexican cartel member, how they called the Lord of the Skies, or El Señor de los Cielos, Amado Carrillo. This guy was a drug smuggler that learned the way to fly tons of drugs to Florida, to the US. And he had like a really inventive system that got him, that turned him into one of the most powerful narcos in history. And there was this fabled story that when he was doing surgery, he passed away during the procedure. And that's the official story. But there's a lot of rumors that he just changed his face and he didn't really pass away and he just disappeared. And it's really hard to not think that Jeffrey might have done the same thing, man. And I know this is conspiracy theory, I know, but there's just a lot going on in the periphery of what happened when he allegedly took his own life. And I don't know, it just rings a bell. And it's comparable to what I just told you about. So let me know what you think. I don't know. Do you think this Zodiac group was the same one? What do you think about Majestic 12 being mentioned in this as part of the Illuminati circle? And what do you think about this exchange between James Combe Kelleher and George Knapp, where they were talking about Zodiac? In this clip, they didn't mention it because they didn't want to. They were afraid. That's interesting. Now that people are mentioning it in these files, how do you think George or Kelleher would react to it? I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, hype, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can also become a member on YouTube. You can become a member on Patreon. We got tiers on Patreon where you can get merch after 3 months. That's the way they do it. Or you can also give us a review on Spotify. We just got accepted to the partner program, and we're way below the usual number of subscribers according to how long we've been on the platform. The only way you guys can help us get into the algorithm, get more people, is by subscribing, leaving comments, getting a review for the show. So that would be really helpful for the channel. Or you can also support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive, like James Iandoli from Engaging the Phenomenon. That was a good one, James. Well played. Bye.